Welcome to another episode of K&K Real Talk. I am joined here by Emily. Emily, why don't you give everyone a quick description of what you do?
Yeah, my name is Emily Sauer, and I am the founder of Ohnut, which is an intimate wearable that allows couples to explore comfortable penetration depths during sex. A lot of women, as you know, have deep pelvic pain for a lot of different reasons, endometriosis being one of them. And so Ohnut is, I guess we can go straight into how it works if you want.
First, before we do how it works, what kind of inspired you to make Ohnut?
Yeah, that's a fun story. So I had pain during penetration for my entire adult sexual life, and it was the kind of thing I went to the doctors, and that they told me that it was normal, the pain that I was experiencing, and that there was nothing for them to do, and that I should just use lubrication and communicate more. And it was really the sentiment that the problem was mine to solve and not theirs. And when you go home at the end of that day and sex is still painful and there's nothing that you can do, it's not just a physical experience, it's very much an emotional one. There's a sense that you're not the partner that you want to be. And so over a period of time, sex actually got more painful for me. And when you're kind of hit rock bottom, crazy things start to happen in your head. So I came up with this idea to adjust penetration depth. And when it worked, it wasn't just a physical relief. It was a deeply emotional one as well, because I realized that it wasn't my fault. And that, at least in my, in that experience, I had a choice. And then from there, it just became a vehicle for communication. I pretty much wanted to tell everyone that I was having pain during sex, which is weird because I had not said anything for 10 years. And then from there, once I spoke about it with confidence, other people came to me and started speaking about it with confidence. And then here we are.
It really just takes one person to be open about it, and then other people start coming out about it too.
You know the name of that game for sure.
Yeah. So let's see how this beauty works.
Yes. Okay, so I have to say, this is the packaging. I put my heart and soul into this packaging, and my favorite. These are all of the very important descriptions. This guy's my favorite, soft and stretchy. But it's important also. So it's not just a product. Is the message that I wanted to communicate. It's, so there's a really nice letter that's from me personally when you open the box, just offering a couple sentiments of encouragement, because when you get Ohnut, you're giving yourself a chance. You're giving yourself and your partner a chance. And, there might be some days it works. There might be some days it doesn't. But how can we create kind of that sense of exploration with a partner, that a little bit of a reset? So here it is. This is Ohnut. It is worn at the base of a penetrating partner, like this, and it compresses down, to act like a buffer. But the beauty of it is that it comes apart. Yay! And it comes with 4, actually. So that you have, it was really important to me when we launched this, that we give people more than they might need, because I don't want to set people up for anything less than that, as best to my ability as we can. So there's just a little way to wrap it around, and there you go. You can stack them up, take them off at any time that you want.
That's amazing.
Yeah, thanks. It's also really fun to play with.
Penetration buffer.
Yes. Yeah. It is a penetration buffer. Yeah.
So how can this product help women with endo?
So women with endometriosis oftentimes will have scar tissue or adhesions post-excision surgery, which can be really painful during deeper penetration. And also just that prolonged sense of chronic pain, the nervous system can rehabituate to that those pain triggers. So what Ohnut does is it allows you to relax both mentally and physically, knowing that you're not going to go in as far, or you can control how far you want a partner to go in. So it really is just it's avoiding that collision with the rear wall of the vagina.
That's awesome. I know that a lot of women have pain with like deep penetration, just because, especially because of adhesions, just being around the uterus and the vagina, and it gets really painful. I mean, I've had painful sex myself. Lucky for me that when I had a hysterectomy, that did help the painful sex a little bit, but it's still there, and I think a lot more women have that than are willing to admit, which is okay.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you've come out with a product that they can get to not feel so insecure about it.
Yeah. Well, and then the interesting thing is it's so many of these solutions or like lack thereof are for women to deal with for themselves by themselves, whether it be physical therapy, the surgery itself, if you have to take medications with side effects, the hormones. There's so many things that are invasive in this whole lifestyle and like the whole process. And this is, it's really simple and it's collaborative. So because it's worn on a partner, all of a sudden you have this new thing to orient around. Both partners are now asking like, hey, how does this feel? Like, oh, let's take a ring off, let's add one on. So all of a sudden, if it does hurt, there becomes this language to make very non-judgmental suggestions, in an open-minded way. Oh, I'm so chatty today. My answers are long. Cut me off if I talk too much. Shoot.
No, it's good. It's good. Have you had any feedback from any women with endo that have used your product?
We have, yeah. We've had feedback from people who've tried it, and then also just from people who haven't yet tried it, who are just appreciative for a sense of hope. There are just so few solution options out there right now. Again, going back to that invasive question and the fact that this is now bringing more awareness for early, for preventative. It can almost be preventative care. Like the fact that Ohnut exists helps the diagnostic process easier for those to identify that painful sex isn't normal. If this exists, which means that painful sex is something that needs to be addressed. So we've actually heard from a couple of younger women who are really grateful to try it and to have it as a part of their toolkit now. And they want to just pass it down, like just downwards, like younger, so that younger women can find out earlier, how we can address the actual condition itself, in addition to potential like intimacy options. Yeah.
So can this be like included with lube? Like, can you use both products simultaneously?
I mean, lube, I swear, whether or not sex is complicated, lube is the greatest gift to all humankind. It's just like you have like different body parts. Everything is just like slick, and you could focus on like an area that's like yay big and it feels totally different. Yes, but to your question, you should definitely put lubrication on before you put Ohnut on. And it's also fun. Everyone wants to know what it feels like for the partner. Because it's a buffer. What does that feel like? And we've heard from both men and women that it's one, so you can use this manually. I don't know how much I can say here, but manual stimulation. Yeah, it's great. So I mean, it fits like really nicely in your fingers, like they kind of fit in the grooves here. Mm-hmm. So you can use it for manual stimulation on your partner as well. Because I think foreplay is generally, we skip past it a lot of times. And it's just as fun to give as it is to receive. And sometimes when we feel like we're pleasing our partners, it gets our head in, it gets our bodies in the game. And so that's one fun thing to do with it. What was the question? I feel like I just went down that Oh, I went down the partner train. Oh, yeah.
You can use lube with it.
Lube, yes. Wow. It's amazing how far away you go from the original question in like 30 seconds. Um, but yeah, so lubrication is wonderful. Partners have been enjoying it tremendously. And it does feel like full penetration, actually, for both people, because you still get that hip-to-hip contact, but without the fear of going too deep. It's wild. Yeah, it's a totally different experience.
So my last question is, what's in the future for Ohnut?
Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad you asked that, because I'm going back to this idea that Ohnut isn't just a product. It's not just a physical thing. It is, more and more research is showing that the biopsychosocial model, that interdisciplinary approach to healing, is necessary. And so where I'm really excited to partake in that conversation is in the mental health aspect. And now we have the physical. So we have the physical, adaptation, and then the mental health. How can we facilitate communication between patient and doctors, between partners, between friends, and really offering an education that's palatable for a mainstream audience. If doctors aren't going to start the conversation or even help the conversation along, we need to come to the table with an education, and the confidence to have that education. So yeah, we're in the process of building out some really, really exciting tools, and we're getting all different kinds of disciplines of doctors involved. So I cannot tell you how excited I am.
It really is a mental thing. And I feel like it's talked about kind of taboo sometimes, which is really weird because we know everyone does it. And I mean, my partner and he and I talk about pretty much anything. And I had asked him if him and his best friend, who's also a male, talk about sex, and he said no, that they don't. Whereas me with my best friend, we talk about everything in detail.
Yeah.
It's so funny, the different sides of it.
Absolutely. And to go along with that also, I think the way that sex is marketed right now is very much sex as a physical experience. Pleasure is a physical experience. Orgasm is like bleh, bigger, better, fireworks, orgasm. And you're like, you know what? Put that orgasm away for a minute, because there's so much more to a sexual experience than orgasm, especially if your head's not in it. What are we fighting for if our head's not even, if we're just trying so hard the whole time? But anyways, when sex is a bit more tricky sometimes, that's actually the place where the conversation makes it so much better. Even as simple as asking, during the fact, hey, how does this feel? Or after the fact, be like, oh, hey, how was that? That's what this thing does. Well, I'm going to hold it further away from the camera because it looks enormous when I hold it that close. This way. Got it. When you're like, oh, hey, how many rings felt good for you? How did that feel during that position? It all of a sudden, again, yeah, it's like that. How can we, when you talk to your friend, why aren't the guys talking about it? And is there a way to maybe push that in a little way? Yeah, it's super interesting. But I'm wondering, because you facilitate a lot of conversations, of course, in your community, and I'm wondering, what are the questions that come up more often? What are the questions about painful sex that are continuous?
A lot of women ask how to deal with it, how to deal with painful sex, how to talk about it with their partner, how to just be comfortable in their bodies. A lot of women have scars and endo belly and things like that. So just being comfortable in their self. I think a lot of times we lose the being in the moment, and
Yeah.
we need to teach people, like, we're so multitask oriented now in life that when you're having sex, you're not even thinking about sex, you're thinking about your groceries and what's on your TVR and whatever else people think about.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, gosh. I mean, it's a great question. It's how do you become more present while you're being intimate? And it's great. You know, it's funny. I think the stress definitely plays into that. You know, especially when you're anticipating pain or when there's like a slight tinge of something, all of a sudden, you know, like the narratives just like kick in. And it's this like reminder that, you know, it's not, your body's not meeting your own expectations, which is
And a lot of what women I find with endo experiences, like almost like sex trauma. They
yeah.
had so much pain in previous situations that now, like, you almost anticipate it, so you're so tense that it's not good anyways, or maybe it doesn't even happen because you can't penetrate because you're literally so tense.
Yeah, yeah. That's a very real thing. Very, very real thing. Um, yeah, it's so when people, um, I'm curious what the answers are. How do people, I mean, in your experience, how do people find their way out of that headspace?
Well, I'll definitely add you to our group and you can take a look through.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I love that. That would be great.
Emily, thank you so much for being on K&K Real Talk. And if you guys have any questions for Emily, you can drop them in the comments or send me a private message or an email. You can find me at endometriosisandme.com or on Facebook and Instagram as Endometriosis and Me. Thanks so much for tuning into another episode, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Kristen. Awesome.